What if some of the foods that you have been told and told over and over again that this is a trusted way to get nutrients in your body, whether it's fortified or enriched, that this is something that is even better than eating the regular foods? What if we've been told this over and over again, which is not a what if, it has happened. I know that it's happened, and I used to read that. I've read every single label. So that was important when I first started this journey. But now I eat a lot of things that don't have labels. So, but this is a very important topic today because today we have Dr. Thomas Levy. If he was right by me, I'd be pinching his cheeks. I'd be so excited because I am I'm so proud to call him my friend, not just an MDJD, world-renowned cardiologist. He is just someone that I look up to, a mentor in my life. And I get to say that Dr. Thomas Levy is taking his passion of a simple video that he did, I don't know how many years ago he did, which by the way, I've added it to my blog about Dr. Levy trying to let us all know the truth about enriched and fortified foods. So today, you're going to want to take lots of notes because we are going to learn and grow together and learn how that these fortified foods, the iron in these fortified foods, are not great for you. They're actually harmful for you. And so we're going to have a great conversation because just recently, Dr. Thomas Levy, MGJD, was with none other than Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's the 25th Secretary of the Health and Human Services in the United States of America. And we're going to be talking with Dr. Thomas Levy about his conversation with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So get ready to learn and grow. Let's take lots of notes.
And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I'm a certified life coach. I'm also a certified holistic cancer coach and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show Classroom. If this is your first time in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, I have been waiting for this moment since the last time I spoke to Dr. Thomas Levy. He said, keep it under your hat, but there's a possibility that I am going to meet with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And of course, once you tell me something is confidential, it stays with me. But it is no longer confidential. I can share it right now that Dr. Thomas Levy did have a meeting with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and he is here to discuss it. So, since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Thomas Levy, MDJD, is here to do just that. I am so excited for you. I cannot imagine how excited you were to find out that you were actually going to meet Mr. Kennedy.
Well, it was pretty interesting, that's for sure. And they're all so busy in Washington, you never know if something's going to be canceled 10 minutes before it happens. I'd actually had an appointment for the day before, and it had been canceled because he suddenly had to fly somewhere with the vice president. So I said, "Oh well, I guess that's a good reason to cancel." No, I didn't say that to him. I saw that his scheduling director. So,
Mhm.
but it took place on June 5th. And probably a little backdrop is important here because
Yes.
I presented the information on the toxicity of adding iron to our food.
Mhm.
Now, it all started with me over 30 years ago
Yes.
when I was in Colorado Springs, and I was getting ready to go to work, and I saw a child's program on TV, and I was just getting ready to turn the TV off, and this goofy guy got on there and says, "Hey, kids, we're going to show you how to pull iron out of your food with magnetism." I said, "What?" And then they did something really stupid. They stuck a magnet in a bowl of cornflakes and pulled up a bunch of nails. Ha 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 ha. But then they proceeded to show, which I later on reproduced and made a video on this, where when you grind up any of these processed foods, cornflakes, etc., add water to them, make a slush in the bag, put a magnet on the outside, and one small portion will pull out a big knot of raw metallic iron filings, unreacted metal, pure metal. This isn't like ferrous sulfate or something like that. This is only a pure metallic iron. And I said, "Wow!" I said, I don't need to research any further on this to know that this ain't good for you." And that was long before I had the information and background that I have now. So I've tried on many venues to get the attention of different people without success for some 30 years now. And finally, through a friend of a friend of a friend, I had a letter put together to send to Secretary Kennedy. And lo and behold, I got a meeting with him and with three other people. One of them was also the acting director of the FDA. So it told me, seeing how busy they are, that they took the matter seriously. It's not, those folks don't take time out of their day for something that's not significant to them. Now, to give people a little backdrop, we first need to realize, and we've talked about this on your show many times, what causes disease and what is disease. What is disease is increased oxidative stress, meaning the important biomolecules inside your cell are oxidized and they've lost electrons. And depending on how many they are and where they're located determines the disease. Moreover, if you can bring in good antioxidants and give electrons back to those molecules, you cure the condition and you make the cell normal. So the point I want to make is things that oxidize biomolecules are toxins or poisons. Well, that's what iron does better than anything else. Say, "Oh, wait, you need iron." Yes, you need iron in a certain minimal amount in order to make a normal blood count. And above that level, all it does is promote oxidation throughout your body. And we have a host of studies that show the higher your iron level is, the worse any condition you have is, because it just increases the oxidative stress inside your cell and creates more oxidized biomolecules, which I said is disease. So it all goes back to the fact that, and this is all part of what we had a discussion. It lasted about 20 minutes or so. It was a opportunity to make a fair presentation of this subject. Is that back in 1941, 85 years ago, okay, the public health authorities, I'll try not to be too sarcastic about their ability to be scientific. I guess they were well-meaning, so I won't take that away from them, but it was fairly common at that time, especially around the time of the World War, that even areas that already had little food had even less food, and African nations, and you had substantial amounts of children with iron deficiency anemia. And so somehow they got the idea, well, we can't have our kids in the United States having iron deficiency anemia, so we're going to start putting iron in all fortified or enriched food. Okay. Well, it's almost impossible with even the worst United States diet, if you're just eating anything on a regular basis, to end up with a deficiency of iron. It's only when you're starving and you're not even getting into all the basic foods that this happens. Point being is, and we had a lot of papers to demonstrate this, is once you have a normal blood count, which most people do, unless they're losing blood, okay, if you're losing blood from an ulcer, from a cancer, menstruation, woman or young lady, those are the circumstances where iron is very concentrated inside the blood. And if you lose too much blood, you do get iron deficient. But short of that, it's almost impossible. Now, the sad part about all of this is, and again, it started in 1941, and it's a sad thing, but once things get started, it's hard to stop them. I mean, it's just hard to, no matter how ridiculous the circumstances are, it's hard to stop it once it gets started. But the fact of the matter is, all the indications show that the higher your iron level is, the greater your chance of cancer, the greater your chance of heart disease. And in fact, they show the higher iron level, the greater your all-cause mortality is, which means your chance of dying from anything. And this makes sense because iron in any cell in your body increases the oxidative stress in that cell and makes it more prone to contribute to a whole disease. Now, so I pointed all this out, and we had a little discussion. And I even brought my iron filings and a magnet just to show, because and you can direct your listeners to this later on, and they can
Yeah.
see the video that I made 30.
It's in the blog. So if anybody wants to see it, just click on Dr. Levy's name. Or actually, I said the iron in fortified iron, or I forget what I said, and just click on that. It'll take you right to your YouTube video from, was it 30 years ago?
30 years ago.
You
30 years ago.
haven't changed a bit, other than your hair color. You haven't
Well,
changed
maybe
a
a little
bit.
bit, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was
and
amazing.
the thing is just like anywhere else in the body. So what happens then when you're swallowing iron? And it doesn't have to be in the metallic form. The metallic form just makes it worse. There are some forms of iron they add to food that's not in the metallic form, but those are toxic as well, because when you have enough iron, you don't need any more. And more is just going to make it worse. The whole thing is, it's especially ridiculous to put it in the form of metallic iron filings, because not only do you get the iron toxicity, you get a foreign body reaction from the metal reacting as it touches and embeds in the tissue in your gut.
Yes.
And literally, I mean, if you go to any drugstore and go to look at all the stuff they sell, etc., I mean, look at the aisles that have to do with digestive products. I mean, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn. I mean, you name it, it got it. Well, guess what? Every time you swallow this excess iron, the iron causes increased oxidative stress in the cells in your gut, which causes them to become inflamed, which then produces and leads to, contributes to, and sometimes can be the sole cause of, but mostly contributes to and worsens Crohn's disease, chronic ulcerative colitis, celiac sprue, gluten sensitivity, all of these things, peptic ulcer disease, leaky gut, all of those things, all the different diarrhea, constipation. Oxidative stress is what
Wow.
you want to avoid, and that's what this primarily causes. Matter of fact, as we got on with our discussion and presentation, I made the point, and I stand by it really, is that they asked me what my opinion was of how many people in the country have excess iron. And I said, well, based on the blood studies that we see, I would say at least 75%.
Wow.
You have at least 75% of, let's call it the adults, although there are a lot of kids too, but as they grow older, they start to accumulate it, have excess iron, because you can measure the ferritin level and see that it's elevated. So I said, just straight out the blocks, how crazy and unhealthy is it to give everybody extra iron in their processed food, even when we already have these people that have excess in their body? Okay. Yeah. I said, not only should iron only be given to people of any age with an established iron deficiency anemia, but it should be a prescription item. I mean, this should not be something, and right now it is.
Wow, that
It's
makes
available
sense.
over the counter, Walmart, whatever. Get your little bottle of ferrous sulfate, whatever. It should not be available like anything that can potentially poison you. It should be an item that should be changed from a supplement to a prescription item only. The only
Interesting.
time people should be getting iron as well, not really as a supplement, but as a medication, is via prescription when the doctor has identified that you're clearly iron deficient and identified that you have an anemia that needs improvement with this. So,
Okay, so there's a lot here that you have said that I want a little bit of clarification because there are people in this world that are iron deficient. It's a legitimate deficiency. How do you test for that real deficiency and not and it's not something that can be and that maybe we can do with food and what kinds of foods, but how do you test? You mentioned ferritin. Is it the ferritin levels? What kind of test do you test that you use?
ferritin is your best test. Ferritin is the test that reflects directly the amount of iron you have iron stored. So as the ferritin gets higher, it means you have that much more iron stored inside your cells that you shouldn't be there. And
So what's the optimal level? Because allopathic medicine has very, very low levels for just about anything, like low vitamin, like D levels 30. Well, a naturopath might look at D levels of 30 as deficiency, and a naturopath would say, oh, you need to be between 65 and 85 or even more. So when it comes to allopathic versus naturopathic, is there a difference in what the level should be as a norm?
well, the thing is, and that's a good question because there's still so little awareness of the toxicity of iron that the lab core reference range or
Hmm.
normal range
Yes.
is 25 to 400 uh, nanogram per cc. Milligram, nanogram, I think, nanogram, I believe, per cc. Yeah, because it's a, and the thing here is all of those are elevated. 25 is too high, and 400 means you're about ready to get a heart attack and is or getting ready to start your cancer. So, and the thing is you diagnose it when you have a ferritin that's really below 25, but more importantly, you have a special type of anemia. It's not hard to diagnose. It comes with all the other information, but it's what's called a hypochromic microcytic anemia. In other words, the cells are small, microcytic, and they're pale rather than a darker color, hypochromic. And all of that relates to the fact that they have less iron inside the cell. And these are parameters that are spelled out on the standard CBC or complete blood test. So it doesn't require any testing other than to just get a regular CBC and you see what the hemoglobin is. And this is important too because obviously, or should be obvious, there are a lot of different types of anemia, low blood count, that have nothing to do with low iron. So you can
Okay,
have a
good.
normal iron or a high iron and you're still anemic. And so and unfortunately, this is still not widely appreciated. We have a lot of cancer specialists, and the cancer patients get what's called an anemia of chronic disease. They just don't make blood cells that well. And really, through pure ignorance, uh, low iron gets pulled into the diagnosis of any anemia, regardless of its cause. And you have a lot of cancer doctors when their patients have, again, an anemia of chronic disease, they give them iron. And all they're doing is making them worse. All they're doing is further accelerating the growth of the cancer and the oxidative stress throughout the
Uh,
body. So you
yeah.
need to be precise about the diagnosis. And the other thing too is there's a lot of people out there, a lot of docs that think not only is 25 fine for the ferritin, but 50 is fine. Well, we actually have studies that show in individuals that have a 50 versus those that have a much lower one, you already starting to see parameters of high blood pressure and abnormalities of vascular
Wow.
relaxation. So it's already, which is where the iron is going to hit first. Why? It's in the circulation. So the first things it's going to hit impactfully are the cells inside your blood vessel walls. So, and as you get higher than that, then the diseases get worse. Interestingly enough, too, And really, I'm not suggesting anybody should be worried about this uh, unless they know that they have a high ferritin level, is that uh, even eating a diet chronically high in iron can make you iron toxic. So I mean, it's you can get too much iron from your diet. I mean, it's a little difficult to do, all right, but just high meat eaters, etc. Some of them can be prone to elevated ferritin levels too. So I guess what everything in moderation. But the point is people need to know their ferritin levels because this is a strong parameter of your likelihood of long-term health versus a whole host of problems as you get older.
Well, Dr. Levy, so if somebody is eating meat and liver and having kale and spinach and their iron level is a certain amount versus someone who's eating processed and rich food fortified by all these things, is it a different level? Is the like the meat eater, the one that's eating it naturally, does that iron affect the body the same way as those shavings, pilings, whatever they are, of metal coming into your body with
Oh,
fortified foods? Are they different?
well, the metallic iron filings did a little additional damage to the gut as it was absorbed. Well, once inside the body, iron is iron is iron. So, I mean, no, I mean, excess iron from a high iron diet, and excess iron from uh, eating lots of processed food with added iron to it. Bottom line is you got to see what the ferritin level is. And like I said, I want to reemphasize it's not a major problem with diet. I just want people to be aware that they just can't assume that if everything if they eat no processed foods at all, etc., without any chance of iron being added to it, that they have no chances at all of being iron toxic, in needing to address it, with something along the lines of periodic phlebotomy. That's the blood contains the most iron, so when you're able to contribute a pint every 4 months or so, you can drop the iron level that way. And two other ways to keep in mind are IP6, inositol hexaphosphate. This is phytic acid or phytate. It's present naturally in lots of foods as something that in the food binds up iron and other related substances, and ironically enough, keeps them from being absorbed. But when you take the IP6 without any iron bound to it, just free of iron, on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning, so that it doesn't get tied up in the food that you eat, this gets inside your body very well, binds the iron, and then you excrete it. It's extremely effective. Although, interestingly enough, if you go online, talk to Google, this, that, or the other, Google knows that IP6 helps, but most docs don't. They just once they offer you phlebotomy, that's about it. But you have IP6, very non-toxic, easy to take
On an empty stomach?
on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. I usually advise, have the capsules on your bedside stand with a glass of water. So the moment you wake up, you take it. And by the time you've showered and done all your stuff and start having a bite to eat, it's already absorbed. That's a good way to do it. The other thing, too, is to invest in a far infrared sauna at home. Okay. Not only do you lose iron, but you lose a lot of other toxins that way, too. Really, the only downside that I know of to having a far infrared sauna is it is a little time consuming. So, I mean, if you're a really busy person, sometimes it's hard to just stop and toast yourself for an hour or so and then do all the showering before and after and this, that, or the other, and you've blown an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. But time aside, it's an enormously positive intervention for your health, not just from the iron, but from other perspectives as well. Also, very important to remember, too, we've talked about magnesium, which everybody needs large amounts of. You do sweat out a lot of magnesium, so you have to be especially diligent about your magnesium supplementation if you start doing a sauna on a regular basis. But sweating is so effective, and this is not appreciated either. Lots of docs think, you really can't get rid of iron except by taking blood out of your body. Well, in fact, they've shown studies where they have young aerobic athletes, men and women, boys and girls. And of course, aerobic means whatever your sport is, you're sweating a lot. And they've shown a substantial percentage of these young people basically exercising themselves to an iron deficiency anemia by all the sweat that they've gone through over the course of the season. So sweat brings iron out quite nicely.
Okay, so that's a good thing if you have high iron. Okay, so, but there are people that eat a lot of processed foods. And that I remember when I was a young mom, everything was like enriched flour, enriched milk, fortified, bread. There were so many different things that when you saw that, you knew that this was going to be helpful for you. So, what advice, what are some of the common, so that we may not even know that it's fortified, what are some of the common foods that are out there that you know of that have it, or do you just look for enriched and fortified and stay away from it?
Just about anything in a box. The
Anything
thing
in a
is,
box.
anything in a box, you have it in all the flours, uh, all the different grains, all the processed cereals, uh, lots of it. They even add it to rice, which is a true travesty. The thing
Yeah.
is uh, on the side of these things, you have a breakdown of what is in the food. Okay, so you see uh, calcium this, iron this, phosphorus this, blah, 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 percentage daily requirement. That's not what you look at. You look at below that, it says ingredients. Okay, the above just tells you the breakdown. I mean, lots of natural products have iron in it. So if you just see iron in the breakdown, that doesn't mean you need to avoid it. You need to avoid it when it says in the ingredients, reduced iron or etc. Okay, that's where you see it. If it's not there on the label, then you're in good shape with that food, at least from this point of view. Now, I also mentioned the fact that not 100% of the time, okay, but most of the time, probably 80, 85, 90% of the time, things that are gluten free are also iron free. Mainly, I believe, because they know this is a group of people that don't want you messing with their food and adding it to it. So, generally speaking, gluten free, if you read the ingredient label, you won't see added iron. That's also true with, you can have packaged foods that are organic, about the same thing with organic, also about 90% of the time. Sometimes when you least expect it, you read that label of this wonderful or organic flour, this, that, or the other, and there's the old iron that they throw in it. So you really have to be diligent with your labels.
So
I
if you buy something that's fortified or enriched and it's not in the ingredients, it doesn't say iron on there, then you're okay? Is there anything else that they fortify things with?
Yeah, they usually put in a couple of B vitamins, which is okay. The thiamine and B3, those are a couple of the things that they started adding in 1941, along with the iron. So no, those are fine. So
Dr.
generally
Saul,
speaking, though, if you see it says enriched, if they label it as enriched, I haven't seen anything labeled as enriched that hasn't had iron to it. Okay.
Dr.
And
Dr. Saul talked about fortified with B3, niacin,
yeah,
and
that's
he
good.
talked about an experiment that they did, and they added is when they started adding a niacin to the bread, and there was this insane asylum that they were looking at, and they fortified their bread with niacin, and many of them got better just from the niacin. Of
Sure.
having it in the water. So, but keep going. I just thought that that was interesting. So we're really looking for iron.
Right. And the thing is I don't think anything that's labeled enriched doesn't have iron in it. I haven't, well, let's say I have not found anything labeled enriched that has that iron to it. I just saw the other day here in Colombia, South America, where I live, in the market, they had Kellogg's cornflakes. All right. And in bold black letters at the bottom of the box, it said, fortificata, enriched
Uh,
con hierro, iron. I mean,
oh,
they're just the
it's
public
blatant.
health
It's in your
authorities.
face. It's in your face. It's
I
blatant.
mean, they're still proud of the fact that they're putting iron in. That's why. And let me tell you, And I tried to impress this to Secretary Kennedy that he's already done some great stuff with food
The
additives,
dyes,
food
yeah.
flavorings,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And I said, that's fantastic, and I applaud you for it, but I will humbly submit for you that this is more important than all of that in terms
Really?
of impact on the public health. Uh, these type of things too. I said the other thing too, and I think this sunk home. We won't know. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. I said with the food additives and all, when you got the food companies to agree to take it out, that was part of their food formulation. All
Mm-hmm.
right. That's how they were making. This is just here's the food and we're going to throw the iron in. So it's so much easier just to not throw the iron in, and you don't have to worry about changing food formulas or anything, how they make it, this, that, or the other. It's just, it's incredible. It's all added after the fact. Shortly after I made my video 30 years ago, and it got out there, I got an email from a lady in Australia, and she was talking about a bunch of things. And then finally, at the bottom of the note, she said, "P.S. I saw your video the other day, and I just want you to know I worked in a cereal factory here in Australia making cornflakes. And the last stage of the process, as they had the hopper full of cornflakes, was to throw in a cup full of metallic iron filings." And then she said, yes, indeed, metallic iron filings they were. So, I mean, that's how flagrant it is. And that's how counterintuitive it is. It's even now, if you go online, you can find anybody supporting any side of anything, I suppose. If you go online, they even have what they call, believe it or not, and label it food grade iron filings.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, let me ask you something because I read a long time ago that Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has a condition called hemochromatosis. Is that I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but he has excess iron. So we're talking about iron deficiency, but did he show any interest on this because he has too much iron in his body? Did he ask you? Am I able to ask if he asked how to reduce the iron in the body, other than donating blood and things like
Well,
that?
I told him what I've told you about the IP6 and sauna and
Oh, okay.
phlebotomies and that sort of thing. And it's interesting. And I I didn't realize that at the time, and I since realized it, and now it makes sense. Well, it makes sense that he would obviously be that much more interested in and convinced of the fact that we have too much iron in our food, and that outside of having something like hemochromatosis, which in generally is even much higher iron levels than we're talking about, is that extra iron is not something you want if you already have an elevated iron. So, I mean, I wish him best. I wish him very well in his own personal health, and if he ever asks, I'll help him any way I can. But I think this sensitized him to the issue, and
Oh,
hopefully, fingers crossed, they showed a lot of interest. So all I can do is wait. I'm here to help further if they need further help. But they did seem interested, and as I mentioned it before at the top of our program, they're incredibly busy people, and for
and
them to
they take the
carve out
time.
a specific assignment, a specific uh,
Time for you.
appointment
Yeah.
and time, and spend a full 20, 25 minutes, and also have, like I said, the acting director of the FDA, the
Oh,
Food and
wow.
Drug Administration, along with a couple other folks. So they seem serious, and I
Did
hope they are, and I hope we can finally end. What I made a presentation several months ago at the National Health Federation, and it was entitled 85 Years of Food Poisoning, dot, 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 and it continues. And I
mm,
gave them a condensed version of that, along with a little handout that summarized the data in there. So, I mean, I don't know what it takes to get something done in the government, but I'll help as much as I can, and hopefully we'll get this. Well, hopefully we'll get this scourge. We'll get this
yeah.
scourge eliminated from our foods. I
Yeah.
mean, I tell you what, there's a lot of people that are incredibly harmed by people trying to do good. It's really paradoxical.
Well, is it people really trying to do good, or is it a bunch of iron pilings that they needed to sell? That they were like, okay, we're just going to throw this away. We might as well sell it. Hey, what are we going to do? Let's put it in food. Oh, that sounds great. So, I mean, iron, it's iron. Let's put it in food. So they're making a profit from this cup of iron that they're putting in the
I,
cereal.
I wouldn't rule that out, especially because it has a very strong parallel to the fluoridation of our water supply.
Exactly. That is
Okay.
why I said what I said. Yes.
I mean, they take the waste product of these fertilizer plants and throw it into our water because there's some fluoride in it and avoid having to pay for the proper disposal of what's clearly toxic waste. So,
It's
yeah.
it's incredible. It's incredible. And okay, so let's say that a bunch of dentists say, "Oh, that's what we need to prevent decay in our mouth," but most people aren't drinking the fluoride. So, it's like you put it. I remember having to chew on t pink tablets when I was a little girl and having these checks when I was I don't know why. I remember it being in school. And but we weren't sitting there swallowing it. We were just, it was removed. It was washed out. But the concept, you know, is it, profit, evil, or both? So we just don't know. So I'm going to take a minute and just talk about the classroom here because I want all of you to share this video with everybody that you know because in a little bit we're going to be talking with Dr. Levy about what are the symptoms of excess iron because maybe we have excess iron and because there's such a wide range in the allopathic world of what normal is, perhaps all of us are walking around with all these different symptoms and we don't even know it. So really quickly, I just want to encourage you to share this video with everybody that you know. Make comments and put emojis on there because the more comments you make, the more emojis you make, the less the social media what is it they call the analog? I don't know what it's called that will try to stop it. So we just got to do everything we possibly can. The name just escaped me. Maybe it's too much iron. Anyway, so what you need right now is to share it. Go to my whenyouneedafriend.com. That is because if you are a subscriber, you already have Dr. Levy's information in his video that he did 30 years ago. So make sure that you subscribe. It's a two-step process. Subscribe on the website, and then you'll get an email right away. And if you don't get an email right away, that means it's in your spam or your junk mail. So take it out. Please opt in. So subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my social media, BitChute. There's just so many different YouTube, Instagram. Uh, just please subscribe to all. And we also have podcasts. So subscribe to those as well and share it. Share it with your friends and post it on Facebook, post it on your YouTube channels, post it wherever you can, that this is information that is so valuable and and it's being suppressed. For 30 years, Dr. Levy has been suppressed and not anymore. How wonderful that he got to speak with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. About this problem that we're having and nobody knows about, hardly anybody. I remember when Dr. Levy mentioned it to me in passing one time. I think we've done a couple of classes with this information and I will not touch anything that says enriched and fortified. So I am just so excited that this is moving in the right direction. Also, go to my Shop Now bag. My Shop Now, these are all Lilly approved products. This is another way that you can help the classroom grow. And check the products out, and you'll get discounts. And there's a benefit to doing that as well, to going there and helping the classroom grow. Last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month, a one-time donation, whatever the case might be. Please give generously of your time, your talent, your treasure. Everything is so appreciative. So today we have Dr. Thomas Levy. I am just so thrilled that we're having this conversation about the truth about enriched and fortified foods. You can find Dr. Levy at tomlevymd.com. He's always so grateful and very generous with his time. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me or you can email Dr. Levy through his website. And I've never met anyone like you, Dr. Levy. You are really, truly wanting to make a difference. And I see it in everything that you do. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for the compliment. That's what I'm here for.
Well, I'm glad to be able to call you one of my mentors, but also a friend. I am just so grateful that this opportunity happened to you. So now I had mentioned hemochromatosis, which is one of the things that I looked at as excess iron, and that he had it too, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But what are some of the signs and symptoms somebody might have too much iron? We talked about anemia, too little. What are the signs of too much?
Well, if you recall what we talked about earlier, which is iron is arguably, I'll be melodramatic, the most poisonous thing you can take. Why do I say poisonous? Because the only thing a poison does is oxidize. That's how a poison or a toxin damages you. And that's what iron does better than any other substance on the planet. So even though, yes, you absolutely need it at a certain level amount to make enough blood, beyond that, it just shoots up the oxidative stress everywhere in your body. And you say, well, what would be the signs of excess iron? There really is no one sign, because it can be fueling and worsening whatever disease process you have going on in your body elsewhere. So it's not like when you get too much iron, I get headaches or I get stomach aches or I get muscle aches. You'll get a worsening of whatever your problems are, as it just feeds fuel to the fire. Okay, so but there's no one symptom, I think, that you could hang on excess iron. It's just a body wide, non-specific, favoring nothing poison.
That is,
I mean,
I
people need we need to use these terms. These terms are not scientifically inaccurate. The iron being added to our cereals is poison by every definition of the word poison, and it should never be taken by anybody except in the form of a prescription by a doctor who has diagnosed you to be iron deficient with a low blood count and anemia.
and the pharmaceutical pill for iron is not the shavings or the pilings or whatever it is that
No.
they're putting in. It is actual, that is what if we are deficient, that is the only thing that you would say medically, prescription wise, the best thing to take.
Yes, and it's funny too. Even when, let's say, you do have an iron deficiency anemia and you take, not a prescription in this case, but an over-the-counter preparation, maybe ferrous sulfate, something like that. Many people, even though they need the iron to build up, report being nauseous. That's because of the oxidative stress that it
Wow.
puts on your stomach and intensive. That just shows you. So even when you need it, it damages you.
Wow. So there really isn't. So we need to look at, the first thing I'm going to do after our class today is I am going to look at my ferritin levels. I just had some blood work done, and so I'm going to check that out. And we were talking about getting a D dimer because the first time that we talked about the D dimer was in 22. And the conversation was, well, did I get COVID after that? Even though I was not received the shot, I did get it like shortly before my father ascended. And it kept me from going there because I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to contaminate anybody in the family. Not that that I'm not saying what I believe or not, but I just wanted to make sure that if something happened, they wouldn't blame me. That basically that's why I did test for it. It was the only time I had ever tested, and it was positive. So I practiced, that kind of care, and I did not go and spend that time. And that was a very stressful time in my life. And I really believe it reactivated Epstein-Barr And that is something that I truly want to eliminate at this point. And I've been on this journey to eliminate the Epstein-Barr, put it in remission is what they call it, but I want to get rid of it. So with that in mind, people should have not only a D-timer test their ferritin levels. If they're 25 or below, or 25, what is the range that you would say is okay? And if their doctor wants to get them to, eat more, get more iron, what should they do?
Well, first and foremost, it's the hemoglobin. You need to make sure you're not anemic. If you're not anemic, you don't want a ferritin in excess of 20 to 25. If
Okay,
it's
so
15 or
hemoglobin, what is the hemoglobin no, normal in a naturopathic perspective?
the hemoglobin, roughly 13 to 15 uh,
13 to 15.
grams per cc. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so if they have that and their iron level, their ferritin level is 25, golden. Everything is
Right.
golden. Okay. But if
Right.
the if their hemo if their hemo hemoglobin
And if their
hemoglobin
ferritin is higher, then they should be doing well,
detoxification.
they should be doing iron mobilization. By that I mean the IP6 or the sauna.
Okay.
You wouldn't need to go straight to phlebotomies necessarily if you're in the 30, 40, 50 range. Definitely if you're above 100 or 200 or 300, you need to do all three. And
Yeah.
the thing about the phlebotomy is, even though it's a very effective way to get out a pretty good amount of iron, you can't give a pint more than every, I think it's 4 months. So
Mm.
it's either 3 times or 4 times a year. I forget which. So you can't just sit there and drain your blood supply to get it out. Uh, so you do need the adjunctive things, and the IP6 is very good, and the
Okay.
sauna is very good. Yes.
Okay. Well, I wrote them down. I'm going to check my ferritin levels and my hemoglobin levels just to make sure how if they're in balance. So once again, I'm just going to say this, 13 to 15. You called it rams per parts, or what did you call it?
I think it's grams per cc, grams per
Grams.
milliliter.
Okay. And then ferritin 25. What if it's below 25? Are you
That's
concerned of
fine.
your hemoglobin?
As this really unsettles some people, but your ferritin level can't be too low if you've got a normal blood count. If you got a normal hemoglobin, no anemia, the lower the better. Because
Okay.
any ferritin in excess of what you need to make a normal blood count is just iron that goes inside your cells and into your storage and just inches up the oxidative stress.
Wow. Well, okay. So is there anything else about iron and fortification, the truth about iron or fortification and enrichment in our foods? Is there anything else that you want us to learn? Because I also want to talk about, calcium and also talk about copper and because those are some of the myths that we're told, oh, you need to have all this, and we really don't. So is there anything else that you would like to add about iron before we change the subject a little bit?
No, that pretty much sums it up. It's just that it's something that's been misunderstood and mislabeled. I mean, remember,
And it's poison, and it's poison.
we're both old enough to go back to Popeye the Sailor Man, right?
Yep, yep.
Popeye the Sailor. Well, what are they doing? What are they trying to tell you? There's a lot of iron in spinach, so you take spinach, get your iron up, and
From a
become a
can.
Superman. So, point being is the mindset has always been to promote iron as much as possible. Like you can't possibly harm yourself with iron. You're just going to make yourself stronger like Popeye. Not true.
Not true, especially if you're having the filings of iron thrown into your fortified or enriched cereal. So
It's
read all
interesting
the
too.
labels.
When we talk about toxicities and elements, okay, metals, okay, really there are very few elements that you can take in their non-reactive form. Oxygen, nitrogen, a few things, the hydrogen, okay. Everything else has to be a compound, all right? And it's usually the intervention of the plant that turns a metal or an element into something potentially ingestible. I mean, look, for example, table salt, sodium chloride. You absolutely need sodium chloride to survive. All right. You have the animals in their salt licks. Well, guess what? Unreacted sodium is highly toxic. Unreacted chlorine is highly toxic. But the two of them together is something that you need. So you can't minimize the role that plants play in turning things in our universe into something ingestible and beneficial for us.
You know, that's so beautiful. That is beautiful to give nature credit where it deserves it. But, you know, so many people are told you can't eat salt. So many people are told that, oh, they need more calcium in their body. So many people have been guided by
Well,
all
even if you
these
want to argue
myths.
about how much salt you need, salt is essential for life. I mean,
Mhm.
you can make your argument, well, there's too much, but no, salt is essential right along with oxygen, right along with hydrogen and water and hydrogen peroxide.
And we just need to be, you know, be our own MD, be our own medical detective. So I would like for you, because we can't get enough of this warning from you when it comes to calcium versus magnesium. Just, you know, we got about 5 minutes left in this class. I wish I could go longer than this, but can you share a little bit so that people know it's not just iron, it's calcium, it's copper, it's all these different things. So if you can give us a quick, because we have other classes that they can tune into.
Calcium, copper, and iron are what I call the toxic nutrient triad. They're all nutrients, and you absolutely need all of them to be healthy, which then takes people into thinking, well, if a little is good, more is better. No.
Nope.
Most nutrients, if a little is good, more is better, is true. Some nutrients like these, if a little bit is good, just a little bit more is not. Okay. Calcium, as we talked about oxidative stress. The higher your calcium level gets, the higher the oxidative stress inside your cell, the more oxidized biomolecules. And the main thing that brings it down is magnesium. So that's why magnesium is so important. Copper, copper is sort of like iron's poor cousin. I mean, it really sort of does the same thing that okay. And anytime you have increased oxidative stress inside the cell, it's usually copper and iron working together to increase the oxidative stress and producing free radicals inside the cell. So that's the other thing too. Good point. Then I'm glad you asked me about this. Copper and iron. Another reason why you never supplement them is because most nutrients, water soluble, you take them in, it does a job, and then you excrete them. Okay. You excrete very, 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 very little copper and iron naturally. So the amount you got is what you need. And when you start taking supplemental, you just increase everything. And although they tend to be ignored, completely ignored, we have these very strident supporters of copper in every form. Well, guess what? You increase your copper, you increase all-cause mortality. It's very clear cut. And those are the studies I would submit to you, you can't ignore. You can look at other things on this chemical, this test tube. No. How about if I take more of this, do I live longer or shorter? If I take more of this, do I have more disease or less disease? Those are the studies you need to pay attention to. And for both iron and copper, the more you take in, the shorter you live, and the more miserable you are while you're alive.
Well, I know for a fact one of the studies that I saw when you know, I'm a certified holistic cancer coach, and I go to a lot of the different events, and there is a product out there that is a copper product. It's a liquid product, and you can take it, but unless you have if you have cancer, you cannot take copper. And that completely supports. And I'm
Wow.
like, okay, if you have cancer, I'm not gonna, because everybody has some form of circulation inside
And
of
what did I
them.
just say earlier about the cancer doctors wanting to give iron to their anemic cancer patients who are not iron deficient? Worst thing you can do. Same thing for copper. Like I
Wow.
said, just it's poor twin, it's poor cousin.
I love that. I've never heard that before. Maybe I have in other past classes, but we did do that class with the iron, copper, and calcium,
Mhm.
the dangerous of it. So you can check it out in Dr. Levy's playlist on YouTube. Dr. Levy, I cannot believe how fast this time has gone. But any final words that you would like to leave us with as we start being our own MDs, our own medical detectives, to search for the label and all of that? What is your pearls for as we walk away?
Well, being an old timer, I only come across these new things fairly slowly. I'm way behind the curve. But I would tell people right now, obviously, we know there's a lot of misinformation on the web and everything like that. But I'll tell you what, one of the quickest and easiest and usually incredibly accurate information sources is the Google app. You dictate on it, you said, tell me about this. Why is this good? Why is this bad? What are the supporting references? I mean, I ask it crazy stuff, and it knows the answer. I asked it, I mean, we have motorcycles all over the place in Medellin, Colombia. So I said, how many motorcycle accidents are there a day in Medellin, Colombia? And it comes out 40 to 70. I mean, the amount, the amount of information that's at your fingertips, if you just remember, ask. Don't ask your friend, ask Google. And again,
But
you
you got to be
balance all the other
specific. You
stuff.
got to be specific when you ask.
Gotta be-
Yeah, got to be
Oh, yeah,
specific.
no.
Like, yeah.
Well, it allows follow-ups. If there has anything to say, it has a little follow-up stuff. So, well, you mentioned this. Tell me more about that, or why is that bad? And you can even make it argue against itself. You can say, give me all the arguments in favor of this XYZ, and give me all the scientific arguments against it, and give me the literature citations that
That's
support
it.
each.
That's it.
I mean,
That
the amount of information is mind-boggling now.
it
Absolutely.
is. It is. It is crazy. It is crazy. But I just recently was talking to somebody I love, and they were looking at, I was saying some things about hydrogen peroxide, and their opinion was by doctors and also ChatGPT that hydrogen peroxide is very dangerous and how it does all these things. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. When you ask the question, you need to ask with a perspective of naturopath that are using this. And it was so funny that once the question changed, the responses change. So
Sure.
if you are a hammer, everything that you're going to look at is a nail, but you got to look at there's also screws, there's also different things. So we got to be open with our search. So thank you so much, Dr. Levy, for opening our eyes today. You are an amazing man, and I'm so honored to know you the way I do. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lily. Always happy to talk to your group and you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you. It's your time. It's your time. Take your life back. Just read the labels. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lily McDermott and Dr. Thomas Levy, MD, JD, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.